Native English speakers process conversations in 4 simple steps. And today I'm going to teach you these 4 simple steps. Are you ready? Well then, I'm teacher Tiffani. Let's jump right in. Step number 1, parallel processing. In other words, listening and preparing simultaneously. Let me break this down for you. So, parallel processing. Native speakers don't wait until someone finishes talking to start thinking about their response. Their brains process incoming information and prepare responses at the same time, what scientists call parallel processing. This is why they respond so quickly. This is why, as a native English speaker, I can respond immediately after someone has spoken to me. Non-native speakers, however, process sequentially. First listen, then think, then respond. This is why you experience this awkward pause when someone is speaking to you and you go to respond to them. You've been listening and then you have to think and then respond. There are 3 reasons why. 3 reasons why parallel processing creates fast response times. So here's the first reason. You eliminate dead air. I just mentioned that awkward pause that happens. We call that dead air or dead space. You see, sequential processing, listening, then thinking, then responding, creates those awkward pauses. However, parallel processing means your response is ready the moment the person finishes speaking. And don't worry, I'm going to break this down because you're probably thinking, Tiff, how can I really pay attention while I'm also preparing my answer? So glad you asked, and I will explain. Here's reason number 2. Again, reason number 2 why parallel processing creates fast response times. Reason number 2 is you predict conversational direction. So, by processing while listening at the same time, you anticipate where the conversation is going. This actually lets you prepare relevant responses before they're even needed. Like, okay, I think she's going to talk about this next, so I have this answer ready. And reason number 3, you maintain conversational flow. There's no break. There's just a flow. You see, natural conversations have a rhythm. And parallel processing keeps you in sync with that rhythm instead of constantly playing catch up. Now the question is, okay, Tiff, parallel processing makes sense. How can I do the same thing? Here we go. There are 5 ways you as a native, not native, oh, I love it. You as a non-native, but about to be sounding like a native English learner or English speaker can put this into practice. So, parallel processing, 5 ways to develop this skill. Method number 1, predictive listening exercises. So, this is what I want you to do. While watching English videos, television programs, movies, dramas, I want you to pause mid-sentence. Now remember, these are not English training videos or videos about English. These are videos, TV shows, movies, programs where people are speaking English. So I want you to watch the video and pause it mid-sentence and then predict how it will end. What do you think the individual is going to say next? Predict what the next sentence will be about. This trains anticipatory thinking. It trains your brain to think ahead. Again, developing this parallel processing skill. So, method number 1, predictive listening exercises. Method number 2 is also important. Dual task training. So, dual task training. Basically, you're going to listen to English podcasts while silently formulating responses or reactions in your head simultaneously. As you're listening, I want you to respond to what they're saying, what they're discussing. Practice thinking about your opinion while still absorbing new information. Practice is going to help you master this skill. So again, dual task training. As you're listening to a podcast, formulate your opinions based on their discussion. Method number 3, real-time note-taking. So, during English conversations or videos, write down keywords while still listening. Don't pause, just write them down while you're still listening. This forces your brain to process input and output simultaneously. You're watching the program, you hear a new word, you go to write it down. So you're writing and your brain says, wait a minute, the video's still playing, so you want me to focus on that too? So you're splitting your attention, again, developing this skill of parallel processing. Here's method number 4. Interrupt practice. Now this is controlled interruption. Let me break this down. With a practice partner, practice jumping in with responses before they fully finish in casual, appropriate moments. You don't want to practice cutting people off or being rude. No, just having a conversation, and when you notice there's possibly a way you can say, hey, 1 second, I want to add this, as long as it's not rude or inconsiderate. This trains you to prepare responses while still listening. Remember, you're trying to develop this skill of parallel processing. I love teaching English because English is not just about memorizing tons of words, knowing tons of expressions. It's really about understanding how to think, how to process your thoughts, how to output what you've been inputting. All right, so method number 4 is interrupt practice in a controlled way. And method number 5, shadow and diverge technique. Shadow and diverge. So let me explain this. Shadow a speaker for 10 seconds. You're watching a program, you're repeating after them for 10 seconds, then diverge into your own related commentary while they keep talking. Let me say this. Let's say you're watching a video and it's an interview and the person is speaking about health and you're watching them talk about health and you're shadowing them. They're speaking about the importance of drinking water and you're mimicking them, you're shadowing them. Then I want you to diverge. You know, I also remember when I was younger and I used to not like water. Like diverge a little bit. While the video is still playing, you're training your brain parallel processing. Toggle back and forth, go back and forth. Shadowing, diverge your own thoughts. Shadowing, diverge your own thoughts. You see, this builds the cognitive skill of dual processing. It's going to feel weird at first. It's going to feel counterintuitive, but trust me, you are developing the skill. So again, the first step is parallel processing. So in the brain of a native speaker, parallel processing is happening. Now, before we get to step 2, I want to remind you, if you want to keep studying with me, don't forget this is being brought to you by my course, the 365-Day English Study Plan. Every day of the year, you'll have a lesson already prepared for you. If you want to enroll, go to speakenglishwithtiffani.com/365plan. Once again, go to www.speakenglishwithtiffani.com/365plan. I prepared a lesson for you for every day of the year to take you from the intermediate level to the advanced level. And everything is organized for you. So you can enroll today. All right, now let's move to step number 2. What happens in the brain of a native speaker? Chunk recognition. In other words, processing phrases, not individual words. I love this one. Processing phrases, not individual words. So chunk recognition. Here's the deal. Native speakers don't process conversations word by word. We don't do this. We recognize multi-word chunks as single units. Phrases like, how's it going? We look at it as a chunk. Or, I was wondering if. We look at it as a chunk. These are processed as one piece of meaning, not 3 to 5 separate words. This is why we as native speakers, process so much faster. We're handling fewer units of information. Ooh, I love this one. I want you to pay attention. So, many times as an English learner, before you had an understanding of chunk recognition, you're learning now though, you would hear someone speaking and you're trying to process every single word that they're saying, which is why you get this mental fatigue. Whereas a native speaker, as I'm listening, I'm hearing chunks. How's it going? They're good. Like I'm hearing chunks instead of individual words. So why is this so powerful, this chunk recognition? I want us to look at 3 specific reasons. Reason number 1, again, why chunk recognition speeds up processing. Reason number 1, you reduce cognitive load. I literally just said this. I wasn't looking at my notes. So you reduce cognitive load. Processing 10 chunks is easier than processing 50 individual words. I literally just said this. Your brain has more mental bandwidth for formulating responses. So if you're processing chunks instead of individual words, it'll be easier for you to start that parallel processing to give your response. Reason number two is you recognize meaning instantly. You see, common chunks carry predictable meanings. When you hear, "Do you mind if I?" your brain knows what's coming and what response is appropriate. Do you mind if I? I know someone is about to request something from me. So they either need my affirmative response or rejection of their request. Do you mind if I? I know a request is coming. So number two, you recognize meaning instantly. Reason number three is you respond with chunks too. You see, having ready-made phrase chunks means you don't build responses word by word. You retrieve pre-assembled units that flow naturally. Ooh, I love the way this is worded. I get excited. Okay, your brain is about to be so happy. Learning in chunks makes it so much easier to speak English fluently. So now you're asking, Tiff, this is great. How? How can I do this? All right, I'll give you 5 methods, okay? So again, the question is, how can you master chunk recognition? Here's method number 1. Method number 1 is phrase collection practice. Phrase collection practice. So I want you to create a notebook. Again, I talk about my notebooks all the time. I have tons of notebooks and even more in my closet. So you're going to create a notebook of common 3 to 5 English phrases, like 3 to 5 word English phrases. Do you mind if? Do you mind if? That's 4 words. That's 1 phrase. So you're going to have a notebook where you write down 3 to 5 word English phrases. Group them by function. Oh, I want to get my iPad for this. Hold on one second. Let me get my iPad. All right, and with the magic of technology, we are back. So again, you're going to create a notebook of common 3 to 5 word English phrases. So I'm going to show you this visually if you're watching. So let's say you have your notebook. In your notebook, you're going to break it down into different categories, okay? So let's say you have your notebook and you're going to start off with greetings, okay? So you want to start off with greetings. You're going to put that as the heading on the page, greetings. And your goal is to find different phrases that are made up of 3 to 5 words that are in this category. So for example, I can say one 3 to 5 word phrase for a greeting is, how you doing? How you doing? All right? Now, this is slang, right? How you doing is not grammatically correct, but 3 words, very quick. How you doing? How you doing? Or I can have another greeting. Again, 3 to 5 word phrases, all right? Underneath the category of greetings. What's another greeting you could think of? You can be writing down at the same time. How have things been? How have things been? All right? 4 words, but again, we're still in the category of greetings. Again, you're putting them by function, by category, and you're going to review them until they become single mental units. This is just a simple example for the greeting topic or category. So the first thing you're doing is phrase collection practice. You have your notebook. You're going to create a page for each topic or each function, greetings, transitions, reactions, requests, and then you start practicing, trying to memorize them as chunks. Makes sense, right? Excellent. All right. Here's the second method. The second method is chunk substitution drills. So you're going to take a sentence and practice swapping chunks while keeping the structure. So you can say, I was thinking that, versus I was hoping that, versus I was wondering if. These 3 chunks have the same meaning. You're going to interchange them. Notice how chunks they work as replaceable units. You can insert them, similar to what we did a few moments ago when I was on my iPad. You can replace chunks, which is why you learn them, and it's easier as you're speaking to use them. Here's a third method. Listen for boundaries. So when you listen to English, Identify where phrases begin and end. Mark natural phrase boundaries. So, do you think we should get going pretty soon? This is the question. Here are the pauses. Do you think, chunk, we should, chunk, get going, chunk, pretty soon, chunk. In that one question, we have 4 chunks. This trains chunk awareness. Group things together. So, identify the chunks within the sentences you're reading or hearing. Method 3, listen for boundaries. Where does the chunk end? Where does it begin? And method almost a chunk 4. Method number 4, speed reading in chunks. So I want you to read English content by sweeping your eyes across 3 to 4 word phrases at once, not individual words. This is also going to help you read faster. So this visual chunking transfers to auditory processing. It's going to affect so many aspects of your English journey. So number 4, speed reading in chunks. And method number 5, automatic response chunks. So I want you to memorize high frequency, often or commonly used response chunks for common situations. For example, that makes sense. Think about it. When I'm teaching you, I always say, does that make sense? Makes sense, right? Those are my chunks that I use in a common, on a regular basis, all right? Here's another one. I see what you mean, or that's a good point. Practice using them automatically without thinking. Think about these commonly used chunks and start using them as well. So method number 5, automatic response chunks. Makes sense, right? You got it that time. I love it. All right, here is step 3. Again, why native speakers are able to process conversation so quickly and so well. Step 3 is response priming. Response priming. In other words, preloading your next move. Preloading your next move. Let me explain it like this. So response priming. Native speakers keep potential responses warmed up, like the 6th man on a basketball team, warmed up and ready to deploy based on the conversational context. We don't start from 0 when it's our turn to talk. We've already primed several possible responses. It's so amazing. It's so amazing as I'm teaching you this, even though I already knew beforehand what I was going to teach. It's so amazing because this is literally what happens in my brain as a native speaker. I already have several options depending on where the conversation goes. So this is called response priming. And it's why we as native speakers seem to know exactly what to say instantly. This is what you're going to learn, response priming. But let me give you 3 reasons why response priming is so important and why it's so effective. So here's the first reason why this is so important. Why response priming eliminates hesitation and is so important. Number 1, you have pre-built options ready. Instead of creating responses from scratch under pressure, you select from pre-prepared options. This is exponentially faster. You have all of these responses just waiting to be used. Reason number 2, you adapt responses very quickly. Primed responses can be quickly modified based on what you actually hear. You're tweaking a template, not building from nothing. You have a template already and you're just tweaking it. And reason number 3, you sound more natural. You see, pre-primed responses include natural fillers, transitions, and conversational markers that make you sound fluent even while you're still thinking. This is the thing. Native speakers, we're parallel processing, we have the chunk recognition, and we have the response priming, but we're still thinking. It's just we have these chunks, we have these phrases, we have these primed phrases to use as we continue thinking about other things. Let me tell you how you can do the same thing. Here's the first method. Again, 5 ways to develop response priming. Method number 1, scenario pre-planning. So before conversations, meetings, social events, get-togethers, Mentally prepare 3 to 5 likely topics and prime responses. You're not sure what's going to be discussed, but you can guess. Maybe you're going to a meeting that you have each and every week and you're familiar with some of the topics that you usually go over. So write them down and think of your pre-primed responses. So if they ask about X, I'll say this. Think ahead of time about what you're going to say depending or based on the topic. This creates ready to go responses, just like native speakers have. Here's method number 2, conversation tree practice. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna map out conversation branches like a flow chart. If topic A comes up, I have responses A1, A2, A3. And I'll show you this visually again if you're watching this lesson. Practicing, okay? So let's say, for example, you're going to be in a conversation and you're just trying to prepare ahead of time. Now, you don't have to actually draw a tree, but if you want to, you are more than welcome to. So let's say the first one right here is going to be our topic, and let's say it's going to be about the finances. Maybe you are speaking about finances. So this is topic A, and you want to be able to have 3 different options for this topic. So you have option A1, option A2, and option A3. And if the main heading topic is finances, maybe your response is going to be about your team's budget. Or if the topic is about finances in a different area, maybe you're going to talk about, let's say, last year's budget, right? Or maybe you say, okay, well, if it's not this year's budget, it's not last year's budget, maybe we're going to be speaking about how to improve our profit margin. So again, I'm just guessing ahead of time, but there are 3 different potential responses. So again, this is how you do this in preparation for a meeting you're going to, in preparation for a conversation you are about to enter. So again, practice triggering different pre-primed responses based on the conversational cues. So you can have a friend ask you a question like, hey, I want to talk about the finances. What was the budget last year? I already primed that one. So I'm going to focus on my second response that I had prepared, and you practice with your friend. This is how you can prepare your pre or primed responses. So conversation tree practice. Here is method number 3. Filler phrase training. Filler phrase training. So you're going to master natural English fillers that buy you thinking time while keeping the conversation flowing. So here we go. Well, the thing is, this is an example of a filler. Or that's an interesting question. Or let me think about that for a second. You see, you can use these to prime your main response. Before you start speaking, you've said these to give you a little extra time. So again, filler phrase training. Practice filler phrases and using them in real time. Number 4. Method 4 is topic monitoring. So in conversations, actively track the current topic and prime related responses. So if you're talking about travel, have travel-related vocabulary and phrases loaded and ready in your working memory. If you're speaking about traveling abroad, immediately start pulling from your brain the travel abroad vocabulary. Okay, airplanes, okay, my passport. Okay, we're probably talking about passports or needing money or even a SIM card. Think about the vocabulary related to the topic. So again, topic monitoring. And method number 5, generic frame preparation. Let me break this down. Generic frame preparation. So keep versatile response frames always primed. For example, I agree because, or I'm not sure about that because, or that reminds me of. You see, you can quickly fill these frames with specific content. And again, when we say frames, we're basically saying, hey, these become templates you can use during your conversation. So the last one we said was, that reminds me of. So you've already remembered or memorized this phrase. That reminds me of. And in your brain, you know the next thing you need to do is fill it with an experience or fill it with a word, fill it with whatever you were reminded of. All right. So this is generic frame preparation. Makes sense, right? Excellent. All right. This moves us to step number 4. Here we go. Step number 4, rhythm synchronization. Rhythm synchronization. In other words, matching the conversational beat. Let me break this down. So matching the conversational beat, again, rhythm synchronization. Every conversation has a rhythm, a pace of speaking, responding, and turn taking. It's like back and forth like a tennis match. Native speakers intuitively sync to this rhythm, which is why their responses feel on time. Non-native speakers often respond too slowly or too quickly because they're not synchronized to the conversational beat. Matching the rhythm makes your responses feel natural even if they're not perfect. Match the rhythm. Are we going back and forth? Just keep speaking. So there are 3 reasons why. I want to break down the 3 reasons. So reasons why rhythm synchronization makes you sound fluent. Reason number 1, timing matters more than words. You see, a simple response at the right moment sounds more fluent than a perfect response that arrives too late. People are waiting for your response. And yes, it was perfect, but oh man, it took so long. Rhythm creates the feeling of naturalness. Just respond. Reason number 2, you maintain conversational energy. You see, conversations have a momentum. Syncing to the rhythm keeps energy flowing instead of creating awkward stops and starts. Again, this is emphasizing the point I made earlier. English is not just about words, expressions, and phrases. It's about understanding every aspect, understanding the speed, understanding the rhythm, understanding the mindset you have to have. So again, maintain conversational energy. And reason number 3, you build rapport automatically. People unconsciously trust and connect with others who match their conversational rhythm. This makes communication smoother and more enjoyable. Like, okay, all right, you're picking up what I'm dropping. I like it. They are feeling more comfortable. How can you do this? 5 methods. Method number 1. Turn-taking awareness training. Turn-taking, when to go, when to speak, when to listen. Here we go. You're going to watch English conversations and note the average gap between responses. Again, you're going to watch people having conversations and see what the average time is in between. Time it. Usually it's between 0 to 2 seconds. Someone speaking, listening, and then responding. Practice keeping your responses within this natural window on patterns your native language doesn't have. So you're going to focus on patterns your native language doesn't have. Correction. You're going to focus on the time, right? That 2 second, that break, focus on that break. All right, I had to correct that real quick. So practice keeping your responses within this natural window. This is method number 1. Method number 2, mimic conversation pacing. So in practice conversations, deliberately match the other person's speaking speed and pause length. If they speak fast, speed up. If they pause longer, extend your pauses. You're going to feed off of the other person. Copy, mimic what they are doing. Mimic conversation pacing. Method number 3, beat mapping exercise. So you're going to listen to English conversations as if they're music. Identify the beat and the rhythm. Practice tapping when responses should come. This builds intuitive timing. Someone's speaking, they pause, bam. Try to guess, try to anticipate when the response should come. Again, this is the beat, the rhythm of a conversation. Beat mapping exercise. So watch a conversation, listen to people talking, and try to guess by snapping or clapping or tapping when the response should come. Number 4, method number 4, filler for time strategy. Now, if you need more time but want to maintain rhythm, start responding with a filler phrase immediately to hold your turn. Oh, that's interesting. Pause to think. Or you can say, I think. This keeps the rhythm while buying time. Listen, native speakers do this all the time. That's a great point. I think, you see, the conversation's still flowing. The person's waiting for you to speak, but you've given them something. So, number 4, filler for time strategy. And method number 5, excuse me, speed matching drills. So, practice conversations at different speeds with partners. I like this one. Do 1 round at a relaxed pace, 1 at a moderate pace, slowly increasing it, and 1 at a fast pace. Again, you're speaking as fast as possible with your friend, with your speaking partner. This trains your brain to adjust rhythm dynamically based on context. If you want to speak like a native English speaker, if you want to respond following a rhythm like native speakers, you have to practice. All right? So, speed matching drills. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson. I want you to speak English like a native speaker, and I believe you can do it. Don't forget, if you want to keep studying with me, enroll in the course, all you have to do is go to, again, www.speakenglishwithtiffani.com/365 plan. You can enroll and you can start following a plan that will take you from intermediate to advanced. I'll talk to you in the next lesson. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, hey, hey. I said it's story time. All right. For today's story, I want to tell you about something that was in my bed. Now, this thing that was in my bed showed me that I also have a little bit more spring in my step, a little bit more energy in my body. Let me explain. So it was one evening, I was laying in bed and I was reading a book. No, I was watching a YouTube video. So I had the video on my phone and I was laying down, lying on my bed, and I'm looking at my phone and I have 2 pillows. One I'm laying on and one next to me. And the lights were on in my bedroom. And I was winding down for the night, just relaxing. It was so peaceful. And I'm looking at the video, and out the corner of my eye, I saw some movement. Now, it was very slight movement, so I didn't turn immediately. I'm still watching the video, and then I see the movement again. And so something said, turn your head, Tiff. I turned my head. Now, think about it. You're laying down, right? You're laying on your bed. The pillow's right here. I turned my head, and there was a white spider basically saying, hey girl, can I watch the video with you? The spider decided it wanted to sleep with me too. Now, when this happened, I think I might have been 41 or 42. You know, as time goes on, you don't move as quickly as you did when you were in your 20s. But that night, I moved like I was 19. I saw the spider. He said, hey girl, hey. I said, ah! I jumped up. I tossed the pillow across the room. My covers were in the air. It happened in a matter of seconds. Everything was in the air. The pillow's on the floor. I flew up. The phone went to the left. Now, what do you think happened? The spider was probably like, girl, you excited. The spider flew up with everything. I didn't find the spider. But I tell you what I did do. did I get a shoe? I think I got a shoe or a book. And I beat the mess out of my mattress. I said, I don't know where you are, but you're dying today. For those that like spiders, I'm sorry. I did have to kill the spider. I don't know if he died in that moment, but whatever was on that bed, if it was there before the spider, it was dead. And that spider never came back. So after the elevated blood pressure, I looked at my room and I said, well, I'm going to have to make my bed again. I have to get under the covers. And when I finally did lay down again, I chuckled. I said, well, at least I know I can still move, because the way I jumped in that air. So, have you ever had an insect, a spider, an animal, anything in your bed that scared you at night? If so, let me know in the comment section. I'll talk to you in the next lesson.